From the College of Business and Economics at Boise State University, I'm Regis Turpin, and the goal of this video is to explain how to write a memo or business document for this course. So the reason that I created this video is that you're going to be asked to write several assignments or report for this course. And multiple times I will ask you to write a report that follows the standards of business communication. So the reason I created this video is to explain what I mean by that. First thing is that business documents tend to be written in the context of making a decision for the business. Either it's about making the recommendation itself, or it's about the analysis or all the information that will lead to making a decision. Another thing to keep in mind is that managers and executives are extremely busy people, and most of you know that because you probably have some managerial position, or if you don't, you certainly aspire to that. Because those people are very busy, of course, their time is very valuable and they don't want to waste it. And one thing that is new compared to what happened 20 years ago, for instance, where we are lacking information. Now, one of the problem is not so much the lack of information, but the fact that we have too much of it. And our brains have limited power, if you like, to process all that information. And that can be a problem. And because of that, it is important to find a way to convey information in a very efficient way. And that's what business communication is about. So what I want to do next is do a little game, if you like. In the next slide, I'm going to show you two documents side by side. And what I will ask you to do is to compare those two documents. I will only show it for a few seconds, so you won't have time to read the actual content. But what I'm asking you to do is to focus on the formatting more than on the content, the actual writing inside those documents. And I want you to ask yourself as you're comparing those two documents, if I were a busy manager, which one of the two reports would I rather read? By extension, you could also ask yourself, if I were a busy business professor, which one of the two reports would I rather grade? Are you ready? Okay, a few seconds. Okay, another couple of seconds. There. So, very quickly, which one did you think was the best? Imagine you had 50 of them that were sitting on your table and you are supposed to read. Which one would you rather read? Which one you think was more efficient at conveying the information? So I hope that pretty much everyone came to the conclusion that the report on the right was more desirable than the one on the left. Why is that? So let's compare both documents. First, let's talk about the document on the left. Document on the left is a document that has nothing that pops out, has not a really clear structure. I mean, we have paragraphs there, but besides that, it's a blob with a lot of long sentences and single space writing with no breaks. Has no clear title, no clear labels, very dense writing, and because everything is looks dull, nothing pops out. And therefore, if I have to get the important information out of this report, I'm going to have to fish it inside this document, which will take me a long time. And I keep in mind that I'm a busy manager or professor, so time is valuable to me. If I have 50 of them to read, of course, I'm going to lose interest very quickly and I'm going to miss important information as a consequence of that. So that's for the left document. Let's compare it with the document on the right, which was more desirable. Document on the right, first thing that pops out is that there is a clear structure here. And the structure is highlighted with a clear label and clear titles there. Second thing that you see is that there's a clear hierarchy, if you like, in the way the information is presented. So you can use something like bullet points or lists of things to highlight, for instance, pros and cons in this example. Or if you're doing some kind of recommendation for a course of action, you could use lists like point number one, let's do this, point number two, I'll do that, etc. You'll notice also that the writers here have used all the features from words to highlight the important aspect of the report. So it could mean using bold characters or italicize some of the writing in there or using different color codes. Exploit basically all the tools that are available in Microsoft Words to make it easier to read. Another thing that is important here is that you can see that inside the actual report, we have a table that was inserted, but it could be also a graph or some kind of diagram. So anything that helps and that is directly related to the core, if you like, of the argument that is being made in the report should be inserted inside a case. Now, if you have some other information that is more tangential but could end up being important, you could include that information as an appendix. Lastly, it is possible to write full paragraphs also in that type of document. It's just that you'll tend to keep it only when for the cases where it is really necessary. So, for instance, if you are trying to justify your decision and explain the decision itself and why you decided to do that, then a full paragraph may be the right thing to do. But I would say that in general, you would try to use that dense type of writing with parsimony and keep it only for when it is essential. To conclude this presentation, I also wanted to point out that not all of the report that you're going to need to write for this course need to follow this format. Here I was really mostly talking about the report that you're going to use for the case studies, for instance. But on occasion, you would be asked to write more like an essay type of assignment. So essay would not necessarily look exactly like that. I would expect more writing like the other document on the left. But still, even if you have an essay type of writing, it is possible to make it easier to read by having a clear structure and having labels, for instance, or using bold characters. So keep that in mind as you write those assignments. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you.